Monday morning and the start of week 2 of developing our upcoming game, Stick Strike. This week, the main goal is to build out our hit detection because it's sort of the entire foundation for the combat system. But I kinda want to start the week off with something a bit smaller, and a dash has been on my mind recently, so let's try and make that. At first, I applied a single burst of velocity, which worked, but it kinda felt limited. Before I do anything else, let's make an animation for our dash. It sort of looks like a flash step more than a dash right now, which is a cool idea by the way, and I might bring that back later on. Anyway, I switched to a dash duration model where force gets applied over time. I tuned that to make it still feel like a burst, except now I have way more room to play with later on. I also cleaned up how I was handling updates by separating input from my physics, and that got us nicer movements. Honestly, it's really fun to just move around when I crank up the stats. I'm gonna go enjoy the snow now since we got a lot this weekend, and we'll pick this back up tomorrow. It's Tuesday, and today I want to work towards combat, so I made a basic jab. I don't think my input system is correct for this, even though it does work technically. Up until now, I've been polling input every frame, which makes sense for movements since you're holding down the inputs, but attacks are usually just quick taps. To fix that, I switched attacks over to an event-based input system where the action only triggers once per press, which you see on the left. Hopefully my crappy little drawings make sense. Lastly, I added a quick test dummy so I can start working on collisions. It is Wednesday, my dudes, and I think it's time to stop beating around the bush and tackle hit detection head on. I learned that fighting games use a bunch of different boxes, like a push box, a hit box, and so on. I'll probably make a separate short later on to break those down, so be on the lookout. Great, it works. But honestly, I'm not too happy with the code, and I think it's gonna collapse if I don't organize this better. So I stopped there and redesigned my entire system. I made a combat controller that every entity has now, and it handles what happens when they get hit instead of doing it one by one in each hurt box. Hitboxes are just data now, while hurt boxes act as the middleman, or like a mailbox that sends the data to the right controller. Once that clicked in my mind, everything made way more sense. I'm super happy with the system and genuinely excited for what's next. Right now, when a dummy gets hit, they get knocked back a bit, and that's it. So today's plan is to make a new animation for when they get smacked. Okay, the animation is down and I also made some particles. Now comes the hard part, which is wiring this within yesterday's system that we made. It was really tricky because I had to somehow split up all my particle and animation logic to apply to every entity. My solution was inheritance, which works surprisingly well in Unity. Within my combat controller, I'm able to ask for a general object, in this case a generic animator. And then in its place, I can plug in specific versions for the mobs or the player, which works like a charm. Now my attacks trigger animations and particles for any entity, and it doesn't break anything else. Today was really tiring, so I'm gonna call it a night and we'll do some cleaning up tomorrow. I'm pretty short on time today, so I just want to get through this list of things to clean up real quick. Alright, it's been about half an hour and I finally switched over to the new input system entirely, and I got the inputs working with a controller. In fact, right now I'm moving with my controller, and it's a lot more fun than a keyboard, by the way. I got the dead zones working where the camera won't move, and I also tried to tune the camera some more to scale better with the player's speed. Today definitely wasn't as exciting, but it was one of those maintenance days that keeps the game from falling apart later on. Also, I got a comment on one of my shorts with a game idea for a new character, and I thought it was really cool. I'm gonna add it to my list, and if you've got any ideas or suggestions, then please feel free to drop them in the comments. Today, I'm planning on making that parallax effect that I was talking about. First, I figured it'd be a nice touch to add some blur to the different layers. That way, we can put more focus on the foreground. Now we just have to add them one by one and write some quick logic. I thought I was done, but of course it wasn't gonna be that easy. Since I have this zooming camera mechanic, it sorta breaks the logic of our parallax effect. I tried just about everything, but with my limited knowledge right now, I couldn't figure out how to get all the different camera mechanics to work well with each other. So I took out the zooming, but I might bring it back later. And there we go. That seems to have done the trick, and I think it came out really well. I'm pretty happy with this parallax effect. I have a lot of editing to do, so I'll be working on that most of today, and I don't think I'll be able to code too much. Overall, this was a strong week since we finally have a foundation for our combat. Next week, I want to try my hand at making an AI for the mobs, so they can run and jump and attack me too. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it, and leaving a like or a comment genuinely helps way more than you would think. But that's gonna be it for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you next week.